This is a response video to the vegan revolution.
This is a world premiere. This is a world.
The most compelling point, and the one with the most resonance to me, is where he points out that eating meat is a kind of mental disorder. And I don't know if I would necessarily categorize it, but certainly there's a cognitive dissonance that's present with people who consume animal flesh and other animal products, where there's an understanding that there is something deeply unsettling. There's a doubt involved when people consume animals. And because this doubt is present when people are consuming animals, this cognitive dissonance that's talked about is present, and in some ways it can reveal itself like a mental disorder whenever whatever part of their psyche is allowing them to feel like eating meat is okay is challenged. And so people who consume animal flesh might act out with hostility, they might be mocking, they may be dismissive, but whatever it is, it's not necessarily a rational response. And so Vegan Revolution points out in his video that he's wearing a mask, and by wearing the mask he comes off himself as, maybe someone who's odd or othered or, crazy, to use the language that he uses in the video. And I have to say, there's, in the same way that people who eat meat have this sense that there's something wrong and yet do it anyway, Vegan Revolution, if you're wearing that mask and you're feeling that there might be something about that behavior that is getting in the way of your message, maybe you can take your own advice and maybe take the mask off and really just present yourself in the most normal way that you can, whatever that means to you. However, if wearing a mask does feel normal to you, then there's no question you should wear the mask. If we spend most of our time, most of our lives enabling meat eaters, and by enabling meat eaters, I mean we sit down to dinner with people who eat meat often, or we are aware that people that we care about deeply, that we care for dearly, are consumers of meat. We walk through grocery stores and we see animal products displayed. We walk through clothing stores and we see animal products displayed. And we move through this world where animals are seen as not worthy of their lives without a sense of outrage. And so perhaps one of the most powerful statements a vegan could make is to just not participate. And that means if you're at dinner with family and meat's being served, instead of sitting there quietly setting the example of a, tolerant, a good vegan, maybe the thing to do is to get up and leave the room. To just not stand it. If you walk into a room and you see animal products being displayed, be it a grocery store or a clothing store, walk out. If a restaurant serves animal products, don't go to that restaurant. And people might see it as extreme, but the fact of the matter is, if you honestly believe that the displaying, the use, the consumption, the murder of animals is extreme, perhaps we should start behaving in that way. In the same way, if someone did something that I thought was sexist, I would speak out against it. I would speak out against it. If someone said something that was racist, I would speak out against it. I would not associate with that person. I would make it very clear that I didn't want someone like that in my life. So the question is, how can we as vegans reach people who are currently engaged in behaviors that we see as completely unacceptable? And I think the answer there is we ourselves experience a certain level of doubt. A certain level of doubt that allows us to move through this world on a daily basis and accept on some level that animals aren't the same as human beings. To accept on some level that it's okay. And I think when we reach a level of understanding about what is truly happening with other species, then we won't do that. So in the meantime, I think the approach that we might take is to just tell people that we're not sure. We're not sure that it's right to do what we do to animals. And because we're not sure, we take the position to err on the side of life. We take the position to err on the side where we do the least harm. And the least harm would be to not take the life of another animal if we're not 100% convinced that that animal deserves to die.